this is a big one. It's the first thing that I really look to when I look at someone's chart. If certain placements or stelliums jump out at me, the first thing that I do when I look at a chart is go to where their Saturn is, because that's the thing that weights a chart down. It's going to show me so much about your evolution through struggle, your evolution of kind of like why you're here. I never really look at the light and fluffy stuff so much, because that's not really what you're here for. You're here for evolution and expansion. And in order to develop strength, one has to have resistance in their life. And so resistance and contraction is what Saturn is in your life and in your chart. So when we look at that, where your Saturn is placed, I'd rather you just, if you're new to astrology, I'd rather you just get this now, because as soon as you do, you're going to understand why Saturn is so important, because that's where the real challenges and hurdles and tests come through. They play out in other parts of your astrological DNA, but most of the time it's always going to be where it is placed. All right. So everything in the chart affects everything else in the chart. The level of degree that you have within your chart will determine the level of strength that that planet has in your life. So when we look at Saturn, we think of like the planet with like a ring around it, and it's like little tiny dust particles, or even I guess the size of mountains, that are frozen, and they radiate or reflect light from the sun, and that's what gives it that color of that ring. And it's a very it's a planet that holds an incredible amount of power through solitude and stability. Saturn represents time in the physical world. It represents matter. So it's not the representation so much of spirit, it's the thing that holds things together. Okay, so when we think about that, think about, for example, the form of something, the responsibility of something that holds things together. So think about your skin and your circulatory system, or more so your skin, because Saturn rules, certain planets rule certain body parts in the human form. Saturn rules and is around the skin. So it contains us, it holds us in. So think of it this way, it's not really necessarily a bad thing, because we need skin to hold us together before, meat, bone, flesh, blood. We have to have something that keeps us in a form of structure of some way, in a framework, so that we can move. Okay, so Saturn, in terms of how it plays out in your life, is slow. Just like Capricorn, just like Taurus, it is a very fixed, weighted energy. So it doesn't move quickly. I think it takes a Saturn return is about 30 years for it to orbit one full lap of its own orbit rotation. And that's why we have Saturn returns. I have done a video pertaining to what a Saturn return means, so please scroll through and you can find that video here on the channel. But when I think of Saturn, it shows me in the chart where it's placed within your chart, where is your longevity going to be? Where is your accountability and discipline going to be? So we know that Capricorn is the ruling planet that is ruled, Capricorn is the sign that's ruled by Saturn, and some even say Satan. There are lots of very strange correlations to something called the lower astral. Many know this as hell. Some of them know it as the eighth sphere. And it was, before it became known as hell or the void or the place of the damned, it was an endoplasm where an angel was banished. This is all connected to Saturn. All right, so if you know the goat, the symbol of the goat is the symbol of Capricorn, but it is a sea goat. It's a being that is bound with a fish, one end, like a tail of a fish, and the other end is a goat with horns that wants to climb and pull itself out of hell. So you will see a lot of Capricorn. I was gonna say, Capricornic energy, but it is like, they've got this maturity about them. And a lot of people with heavy Saturn placements in their chart generally age backwards. So think of the curious case of Benjamin Button. A lot of Capricorns do age backwards.